Trump.
All right. Good afternoon, folks. I'm Kirk with Kirk's Law Corner LLC here, and I have Scott Lauterbaugh and Dave Canter, and then we have another guest here, Pat. She's kind of hanging out in the corner there. What we're going to discuss today is how to write an affidavit in support of the petition that I will be writing to Congress for the redress of grievances regarding those military service members that have been subjected to the vaccine mandate, whether they were forced to take it and are still in and have been injured by that, or any military service member that was unlawfully discharged because they refused to follow the so-called vaccine mandate. And I want to show you kind of just a general look at the petition in proper format here. One that I've already drafted up for foreign invasion. So this is in proper form of a petition to Congress. Now you'll notice down here into the statement of facts, these are having to do with foreign invasion. So these statement of facts will be different regarding the particular subject matter of the COVID-19. Let's just leave it at that. Okay. And those specific statement of facts will be right here. Now, the affidavit that each individual service member will write will be particular to their particular situation at the time, starting from whatever happened at the very beginning to you. And we're going to get into how to write this affidavit. Okay, and you'll notice that it's the statement, this petition is really short. Okay, so there's your statement of facts. Here's the prayer for relief. What we're going to demand them to do is obviously to do an investigation to verify the claims, whatever statement of facts are, one through whatever. And then I will go to the Constitution itself that will support this. What are we instructing or demanding that Congress do? Now, in the prayer for relief here, some of what I've thought of my personal idea here is for those military service members that would like to get back in and continue their contract, that will be here in the prayer for relief. Or the option to be paid out for breach of contract, because this is a breach of contract. They will have to pay each service member individually whatever the rest of the term of that contract was. Things like that. And those are things that we can discuss later, but just wanted to kind of show a brief format of what a proper petition looks like. And then everybody will sign under here, and then we will attach, there's going to be a brief, which I will write, a memorandum of law, which I will write, that, the law, we bring the law here in support of this petition. So just so people have a basic understanding of what's really going on here, this is going to go to Congress for an investigation. Now I'm going to turn this over to Scott or Dave, either one of them. And then I know Pat had a question, so I'd like to open that up real quick before we get into the actual affidavit writing. Scott, you first.
Well, I send over the documents and everything like that. My thing is to learn how to group this together so we can get some leeway and justice in this situation for military members across the board. And I guess I'll be starting off with my situation. But I send you over the stuff, and then I'm like I said, I'm willing to learn, and I want to learn so I can get this ball rolling here. But is there anything that I sent you that stands out to you that that begs the question or the situation at hand that we're dealing with?
I actually haven't read through them yet. I got the first one pulled up. So
Hmm.
when we get into that, we'll discuss more of that when I actually start to read it.
Roger that. that's kind of like all I've got. I mean, you know, my situation, the story about behind it.
Hmm.
I mean, from the get go, just to give a quick synopsis, I stood up in front of the military, well, my squadron, basically my commanders and everything, and basically called for a timeout to stop the COVID vaccine mandates um, on my base, and that was basically futile because they everything that I gave them as far as information was concerned, and even me standing up as an NCO was basically thrown away. I would say, you know, looked down upon, move forward, and I mean, my basically the scenario of everything is submitted religious accommodation, went through the process, was given an LOR. Any of the documents I was given, I refused to sign and did not sign, and was placed in the IRR for about 16 months, roughly 17 months. We figure everything out. So back pay, back points, I'm going after, and uh, was able to come back in September, gained all my drill dates back, served them honorably. I retire this April 6th, 2024, honorably. That'll be my fourth honorable discharge and fourth branch of service I've served in. And I want to stand up for my military brothers and sisters and fight this all the way and never surrendering. So,
Amen,
that's
brother.
my spiel.
All right, Dave, over to you, brother. You're muted.
That would help, right? So I don't have anything specific. I just want to thank you for hosting this. The affidavit is an important document, and understanding, the purpose and how to write one is critical to how we move forward in almost anything we do today. So I appreciate it. I yield.
You bet. Pat, are you with this? And you'll have to unmute yourself over there, Pat.
Well, we can come back to her, I guess.
Yeah, she just had the basic question there was, will this involve other service members that may have stayed in and have taken the vaccine and was injured by this? And I just want to put that out there. Yes, every single member of the military, because this is, again, based on what Brad and other gentlemen over there have started, which is the Declaration for Military Accountability, that project there. And I've just offered to help and put this together in proper format following the supreme law of the land as it is written, our right of petition. And this involves internal insurrection. This is actual domestic violence pursuant to Article 4, Section 4. And this is how our form of government is supposed to work. Who has what powers? And like it says, on application of the legislature or the executive for domestic violence. And our founders meant that to mean internal insurrection, which was public servants attempting to overthrow the Constitution, the laws of creation, and war against the people. If you do not quite comprehend and understand that this is actually a war against the American people, you're not going to fully comprehend what's really going on here, but we will definitely elucidate this. And I seriously asking every service member out there to pay attention to this and do an affidavit. That's all I need from you folks is to write an affidavit. Okay? The affidavits will be in support of the petition. So this is how you get to tell your story of what happened to you. And so that we break this down into small little statements of facts. And when writing affidavits, they are to be short, clear, concise statements of facts. And it's based on what's called the 4 W's. Who did what, where, and when. So we're going to jump into that right now, and I'm just going to pull up. I'm going to do the screen share and pull up what Scott has sent me, and just go right from the documents. What's your What's your evidence? This is, basically going to be the evidence. But when you make a statement of fact based on this piece of evidence, this is how it's done. So we start with the very first thing that Scott received. Okay, so remember the 4 W's here. So looking at this document, this is from Department of the Air Force. Okay, 911th Mission Support Group, Pittsburgh Air Reserve Station. So that's the who. And we start off with on, and the date is there, the 30th day of September 2021. So we write on the 30th day of September 2021, the Department of the Air Force if I can spell correctly here, or type correctly. And we're writing exactly what it is. 911th Mission Support Group. Pittsburgh Air Reserve Station. So this is the who and when. Now, what did they do? Created a memorandum, or sent, all right, so there's your basic statement of fact right there. Who did what, where, and when. That's short, clear, and concise. This document here will stand as evidence by itself. Really don't need to put anything else in here other than when you go through here and read this, all of this stuff, you want to cherry pick it right here. And it's already in bold. That's great. I am ordering you to receive an initial dose of COVID-19 vaccine with full licensure approval from the FDA and provide proof by, okay? So what is it? And ordered order me to receive an initial
dose of COVID-19 vaccine.
Yep.
So you have to show proof, then they want proof of it by 2nd October 2021. Is that how that would go?
Yeah, we just shorten it up and
shorten it. Okay.
and provide proof.
02 October 2021. And we would have to put in ordered second dose of the same vaccine.
Yeah, and we could do that one here because that is factual from this document, and I want to explain this in a sense that when you write your statements of fact, you try to keep one statement of fact separate from another, because if there's anything that you write in this one particular statement of fact that is incorrect, that the other side can say, hey, no, that's not true, you lose this whole number one statement of fact.
Understood.
So while part of it might be true, if there's one part of it in there that's not true that they can prove that's not true, you lose the other half. So be very careful with how you write your statement of facts. But the key to all of this is pulling directly from your evidence the 4 W's. Who did what, where, and when. That's it. Keep it simple. This is that KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. So simple, it's stupid simple. Less is more. So we'll put additionally.
Receive. Second dose.
Yeah, to receive.
November 2020.
Yeah, we'll just do
and
that.
provide proof.
Yeah.
See how like and is capitalized?
Yeah.
Same thing with the last two. And provide proof. Coercion
Bam.
101.
And that's it. I mean, that's your clear and concise statement of fact based on this document. This document will be attached as basically evidence exhibit A.
Got it.
Okay, this will actually go what's called the appendix. And there's a difference between the judicial branch and the legislative branch. On the legislative side, it's called an appendix. On the judicial side, it's called an exhibit. Even though we will still kind of label it, it'll just be like document number 1 in the appendix. It will actually be printed. This PDF here, it'll be printed in with the appendix. And that's something we'll go down the road on. But right now, I really want to focus on just trying to teach people how to use their documents, the evidence that they have, and make their clear, concise statements of facts. So let's look at the second. There's another part to that document, I think. Now, technically speaking, this is also who actually did this. Right?
Yep.
Kathleen M.
Laban,
Lieutenant Colonel.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so I would actually go back up in here and go, well, wait a minute, and go right here where it's the sent the memorandum.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, how would we do this? I would say by and through Lieutenant Colonel. Oops.
Would it be USA Air Force Commander? That whole thing would go on there?
Yep.
Okay.
Because that's how they're identifying, that's their rank and insignation, right?
Yep.
So that's who it's by and through.
Right.
And you did sign this under duress.
I did. All my documents were that.
That's good.
Were like that. If they forced me to sign it that way, then I was able to do the UCC code on it and put it under duress because I didn't want to do it.
Honestly, we don't need the UCC code on there. Under duress means this was fraudulent. This whole thing, the agreement that you're making here, because essentially this is a contract.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that a lawful order? That's what we're going to be dealing with. Now, going back to kind of what we talked about previously, notice that this is uniform code. Code is Roman civil law. This is all done under code. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole. So, right there, basically on this document, we've covered the basics of what's here. When they do the investigation, they may even actually call you in to testify.
That's fine.
And you know,
I'd be happy to.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we need the main people to get this going, especially a man in your position that you were in. You were over other people, right?
Yep. I was an NCO, non-commissioned officer.
Right. So you
Enlisted.
had high enough ranking that you had, members of the Air Force that were under you. So you had to pass this down to them, correct?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
What I did was, no, anything that came from the top, so it came through our squadron commander, so Lieutenant Colonel Campo, which I have documents on that as well, but it was basically a broad shot all the way down the chain of command.
Yeah.
But my stance was this, that military members were already suffering from prior to this, from this inoculation, from this bioweapon. That's what I call it, because that's what it is. That's what they're saying it is now. And I've been saying it all along from the get-go. And in turn, this is when I stood up, because basically I stood up prior to even that order coming out because of what I saw. And of course, there's the links to all the information that I gathered through it at that point in time, which we know now there's a lot more of it. And I stood up and I basically called for a timeout. What that does in the military is it stops everything in its tracks. And I basically stated to look at both sides of the coin before they pursued doing this.
So what?
So that's my basically what it was my job as an NCO to protect my airmen.
Right. Now,
my oath.
You sent me this document here. What can you explain this here? Is there more to this?
Those are all the links that I gained at that point in time on how do I want to say it, on cures and adverse events that were happening, and cures for those adverse events that were happening before the initial bioweapon would come into play. So basically, if there was a virus at that point in time, there were additional cures that would set aside the fact of the matter from being inoculated by a bioweapon. So if you look at the prescription cures, if there was a fact on, quote unquote, virus, the HCQ, ivermectin, which we know now, and zithromycin, Z-Pack is a cure for that. Or if you have natural cures, is the vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, and quercetin. Basically, the zinc is deployable by the vitamin C. You can't just take zinc alone. Vitamin C is your deployer of the zinc into the bloodstream. So I learned all that from all the links above that are there. And then I go into the reasons.
Okay, so on this date here, is that the 9th of November?
No, that's September 11th of 2021.
Okay, I didn't know.
That was the date. That was the date that we had drill. That was the day that I basically stood up. So I had all this prepared because I knew that we were going to have a wing commander's call. So what I did was, prior to this, I typed all this up and all the links and everything and submitted it to my commander in front of everybody, in front of the whole chain of command, in front of the entire squadron, and called for a timeout.
Let's see. How did we write that? Oh, you were... I'm just gonna...
Basically what it is, those links that are there, was showing evidence of, hey, this is what's going on this side of the picture. You know what I mean? And you're saying this, but we need to come together and say, whoa, hold it. We're not going to inject anybody with this until we see what's going on this side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who did you give this to?
That was to my commander. Her name is Lieutenant Colonel.
Let's see. Let's see. Okay. And I misspelled that, but okay. Who did you give this to?
Lieutenant Colonel. So it's probably going to be Sabrina Ocampo. Let me see if I can pull a document out real quick with hers on it. I know I have them, so that's not a problem.
May I?
Yes, go ahead.
So while he's looking that up, these affidavits and this process can be used on not only the mandates for the COVID shot for the military, but for any process. Am I right?
Yeah. Technically speaking, outside of this project here, anybody who has been subjected to this, even in a private business or anything like that.
How about if you want the an investigation for, let's say, election integrity or other things that the legislature is responsible for, right? So the legislature is responsible for the Board of Elections, the Board of Education when they created them, right? So he who creates is responsible for what they've created, right?
Yeah, it's called the sovereign. They're the sovereign over that which they create. So the legislature has the power to create. Technically speaking, they're not really supposed to be creating election boards. That's like a corporate term, corporate structure. But nonetheless, go with what has been created. And the legislature has to create what's known as the laws of its creation, a statute. A real statute is the laws of creation of that particular entity and what its scope and authority is and its duties to perform. And when they step outside of that scope and authority that was delegated by the legislative branch, the legislature is the one that does the investigations. Now, when dealing with the subject matter of elections, it is called an election petition. And those that have standing would be one, to file an election petition is one, the qualified elector that ran for that particular office to demand an investigation. And again, this comes from the common law side of our Republican form of government, which you can find this in Lex Parliamentaria Americana, which is the elements of the law and practice of the legislative assemblies in the United States of America. From the common law side, an election petition is supposed to be filed in the legislature by those that have standing. The other parties that would have standing would be the people. In this day and time, we call them registered voters, which they should be called electors. But the people that actually cast a ballot would have standing to file an election petition to demand an investigation to see if there was any fraud regarding the election.
Right.
And like I've said before, election fraud has been around as long as elections have been around. I mean, the second you create something that's supposedly involving multiple people doing it like this, a situation where people are voting on something, there's always a chance for some sort of fraud to happen there. So,
yeah, I just wanted to clear that up. So,
yeah,
make sure that everybody understood that you can use this process on any topic that you want an investigation on.
Absolutely. Our right to petition the legislature for the redress of grievances goes all the way back to the Magna Carta of 1215, where the origin of the right to petition came from. So I know there's a little bit of confusion out there, the difference between a petition and a remonstrance. Okay, that's two different things. Essentially, the petition is a political lawsuit, just like you would file a petition in the judicial branch for, say, Title 42, 1983. That's a petition. Okay? But petitions have prayer for relief. Now, a remonstrance is a formal written protest. This is how you protest. Well, many people out there on the streets talk about standing on the street corner holding signs. That's called picketing. That's not a protest. Protest is a formal written declaration declaring something unlawful is about to happen, or something unlawful has already happened. Okay? So, in essence, when we can even look at Madison's Memorial and Remonstrance, where he was remonstrating against legislation being created by the state legislature of Virginia, and saying, no, because, and you give reasons why you are not in support or you're opposing the legislation being made during the legislative session making process. That's how you protest against legislation. There is no prayer for relief. It's all the reasons why you're against it, why you're protesting against the legislation. That is a remonstrance.
I wanted to make that differentiation, because a lot of times people pass around petitions and we just sign them like change.org, and it's not the proper format. So when you go through all that effort and then you send it up to your legislator, they can ignore it. So I just wanted to make that clear. And I yield.
Yeah. And the other part of this is, if you read 3/4 of the states use Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedure. Just like in the judicial branch, you have rules of procedure. Well, the same thing in the legislative branch. You have rules of procedure. You'll have your House rules, your Senate rules, and either what's called joint rules or general rules of procedure. But when you read Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedure, like I have, I have the 2010 edition in hardback. I have the 2020 edition in hardback. I have the 1953 edition in PDF. It references almost on every single page this Lex Parliamentary Americana by Luther Stern Cushions. It'll say cushion. You see the footnotes down on the bottom there. It says cushion, 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 almost on every single frickin' page. So this is the book that you really want to read and learn from. But you'll read in your House rules and your Senate rules when you go to the legislative branch website and look for the House rules and the Senate rules. You'll look in there and you'll say, oh, right here, we reference Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedure. So 70% of the states refer to the Masons, which Masons refers to Lex Parliamentary Americana by Luther Stern Cushions. So this is why, going down the rabbit hole, why I went and got Luther Stern, or the Lex Parliamentary Americana first in PDF, and one of my followers out there actually bought the book and mailed me the book. So now I actually have the book itself in hardback. So if everything digitally goes down, well, I still got a hard copy.
Yep.
So when the legislature has a committee and we're sitting up there and they invite public comment, this is where we make that petition. Am I correct?
Bingo. And like it says, what I was going to get at there was in both Lex Parliamentary Americana and Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedure, specifically states in there that the petitioner themselves have the right to present their own petitions. So during the legislative session time, you can literally walk into the Capitol, walk into that particular committee room, and present your petition. And you are to read it on the record. Now, this is why the petition must be in this proper format, because it's supposed to be short, clear, and concise, and usually you only get about 3 minutes. So you need to be able to read your petition within 3 minutes, which normally, specifically, is just your statement of facts and your prayer for relief. And that's it. The petition is supposed to be read on the record and then filed, served to the clerk of the House or the clerk of the Senate, depending on which committee is under which branch of government. Now, throughout the year, outside of the legislative session, they still have what's called standing committees. So you would want to look on your state website there to find out when your standing committees are meeting down at the Capitol. The other thing you can do is if you're, too far away for that, you can actually send it in the mail, direct it to the clerk of the House or clerk of the Senate, and then the clerk is supposed to send it over there to the committee. Then the committee, in its order for the business of the day, per the rules of procedure in the House or the Senate, it's in there that what is part of the order of the business of the day. I can even just pull it up and show you exactly what that looks like. Just so that people can see. Right here, we go to laws and rules for Idaho. See this? We got House rules, Senate rules, and joint rules. Let's go into the House rules real quick. And you get down in here to rule number, These are rules of procedure, just like you have in the legislative branch. Right there, Rule 12, petitions, memorials, etc. Petitions, memorials, and other papers addressed to the House shall be presented by the Speaker. Oh, wait a minute. This evokes Miranda versus Arizona. There shall be no rulemaking or legislation that would abrogate the right. This is where you have to learn about your right and know your right, how to effectively claim, exercise your right, and defend it. So this is where I teach people, read Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedure. Read Lex Parliamentary Americana, where it says we have the right to present our own petitions, which makes this rule of procedure void for any effect, because that's trying to abrogate the right. That's taking away the right of the people that was retained by the people, the power retained by the people, to present their own petitions. Now you get down in here, you start finding that here's your standing committees here in Idaho. Agricultural affairs, these guys are there all year round. So if you got an issue with local government, you want to go to that standing committee. You got a problem with the judicial rules and administration, that's that committee. Commerce and human resources, health and welfare, environmental, education, appropriations, ways and means, transportation and defense, state affairs. And then it breaks down in some of these here standing committees, some of these rules. You're going to want to read that stuff so you kind of get a general idea how this is supposed to work. And then you get into looking for the order of the business for the day. Call to order, seating, debate, right to open and close, session decorum. Smoking and the consumption of food and beverage will not be allowed in the representative chamber or gallery while the House is in session. Persons in the chamber shall wear appropriate attire to maintain decorum of the House. There is decorum here, common decency and respect. Courtesy. Okay? And these are really more for them, but it's a good idea to read through these and understand how this all works.
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to point this out, because we don't understand how it works. And
right.
we don't use this in our daily lives. So it's important that we understand this and how to make this petition and how to get a remedy, because if you follow the rules, they have to take you serious.
Absolutely. Okay, so here it is right here in Rule 60 for our House rules, order of business. After calling the House to order, the order of business for the day shall be as follows. Roll call, prayer by the chaplain, approval of the journal, which is the previous session, Consideration of messages from the governor and the Senate, report of standing committees, report of select committees, motions, memorials, resolutions, introduction, first reading and reference of bills, miscellaneous. What is that? Presentation of petitions and communications. That is in the order of the business for the day. And they do their announcements and adjournment. So when you're sitting there at that committee in that particular part of the Capitol, and they get to that, oh, is there anybody here to present any petitions or other communications? Yes, I'm here to present my petition. Oh, well, that has to be done by... No. Miranda versus Arizona. There shall not be any rulemaking or legislation that would abrogate the right. You open up your Mason's Manual, you open up your Lex Parliamentary Americana, and you cite it verbatim, what it says. Petitioners have the right to present their own petitions themselves. That's a right retained by the people, and you've made a rule here that's in conflict with the right. Therefore, your rule is void for any effect, and those of you that try to enforce this rule that you made onto the people, when we're the masters and you're the servants, that's grounds for your removal. That's internal insurrection. I'll have to go to Congress and tell on you and have Congress come down over the top of you and have you removed. Because that's internal insurrection. You have no authority to make a rule that abrogates my right. And that question's already gone to the judicial branch, asked and answered in Miranda versus Arizona. So we no longer have to go to the judicial branch and ask that question whether or not your rule is lawful or not. Because that case covers that question and answered. That's how you use, essentially, case law, is based on a question that's already been asked and answered that meets the same, what's called merits of your case, or the situation that you're dealing with. You use that case to support your argument that this rule is unlawful, citing Miranda versus Arizona. Okay? So that's how you defeat their rule-making powers and put them in their place that, no, you don't have the authority to alter my right. You're supposed to be here to support my right, and you're bound to support my rights. That's Article 6, Clause 3 of the Federal Constitution. Are you a member of the legislative or executive or judicial branch? Well, you're bound to support the Constitution. A breach of oath of office. And if you want to get real sticky about it, then it gets into usurpation of power, subversion of the laws of your creation, seditious conspiracy to overthrow our rights, war against the people, which leads to treason. Because you're giving aid to our enemy. It all depends on how far you want to take that, but that's the truth of the matter, facts of law, how that works.
Thanks for going into that in that depth, Kirk. That was very valuable, especially for the people who are want to go in front of the legislature and change some of these problems that they're creating for us. I yield.
Yep. And then right here's what I really wanted to get to in part was Rule 75, Standard Rules. The rules of parliamentary practice set forth in Mason's Manual of Legislative Procedure shall govern the House in all cases to which they are applicable and in which they are not inconsistent with the standard rules and orders of the House and joint rules and orders of the Senate and House of Representatives. Okay? But again, always remember Miranda versus Arizona. You cannot make a rule of procedure that would abrogate a right, because rights are actually the law, and this is just supposed to be rules of procedure, right? Because that's what that is. Mason's Manual Legislative Procedures. These are rules of procedure. Well, it's just a rule. No, rule. The word rule doesn't stand by itself. Like a rule of mathematics, rule of the game of chess, rule of monopoly, rule of law. Maxims of law is a rule of law, rules over the law. Just like rules of mathematics dictate the correct answer every time. These are fundamental principles. This is a rule of procedure, how they proceed in the House. But like I've said here, when you find this in there and it says, oh, Mason's Manual Legislative Procedures, well, Mason's Manual references Lex Parliamentary Americana, Cushion. Every time you see cushion in the footnote, that's that book. So in my mind, Masons is actually subverting Lex Parliamentary Americana. Why do we need Masons when we have Lex Parliamentary Americana? The elements of the law and practice of legislative assemblies in the United States of America. Which that one goes through the whole history of parliamentary practice from way back to like 1215 forward. So, I know it got off a little bit off track there, but back to the affidavit stuff.
I'm going to take about a minute break real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. So, back to the affidavit stuff here. This is based on what Scott has, served over there, and this is all I have from him right now. But this is it. On the 11th day of September 2021, T Sergeant, I don't know what T stands for in the Air Force, Lauterbach Scott served a document entitled Infiltration from Within to, and he was supposed to look up that name there, and we got off on another track there. And then this will be in the evidence, right? That this is information and research links and options. Saying, hey, wait a minute. What's going on here? You need to look into this information and the research I've done and the research that other peoples have done. And take this into consideration. Because in the military, when I took my oath, I was informed even not only when I took my oath, but during military training when we were taught the Constitution, flat out, that if we are given an order that is in direct violation of the Constitution, we are to disobey that direct order and report to the next higher in command. Same thing for you, Scott?
Yep.
Dave?
Definitely, yes.
So that's a fundamental principle. If somebody's acting outside the scope and authority of the Constitution, the instrument of government itself, the delegations of power there, which is, government was instituted to secure these rights. That's right. So when the government starts acting outside of the original intent of creating government to begin with, the laws of its creation, and what the actual intent was, well, then we got a problem here. That's internal insurrection. That's usurpation of power. That's maladministration. That's misfeasance. And if
I have that information for you when we were typing up the rest of that information.
Gotcha.
Take out Lieutenant Colonel and just start with because how it's written on the document is Sabrina M. Ocampo, Ocampo, comma, Lieutenant Colonel, comma, USAF, United States Air Force, Commander.
Is Colonel written all the way out?
No, COL.
Okay, Lieutenant Colonel.
There's a comma after that. USAF in caps. And then Commander. That's it.
I'll just do that. Then we'll just put giving information and research links and options. And that's it. And then this gets attached in the appendix based off of this statement of fact under number 2. And actually, we should do a little spacing there, but that's other stuff there. Probably do. Yeah, I would just leave that there. I'm trying to get a space after it. After the paragraph. Should be. Yeah. Anyways, so that's the basics of writing the affidavit here, folks.
Cool.
I wanted to let people know that I didn't go live through Telegram on this one, but I will share a link from Rumble over there to the Telegram channel for you folks on Telegram. Just kind of looking through some comments here. Is there any questions from you guys?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good here. We lost the screen share.
Yeah, I just cut it off there because that's all I've got from Scott right now. So that's the basics. You put everything that you have. Hold up your binder there, would you, Scott? All right. See how thick that sucker is? Okay. That's all the evidence that he has gathered as it was given to him and everything that he did. Okay. And you put everything in a chronological order of things by date. And literally, you just turn the page. In each document, you got a date on there, who wrote it, who it was to, and who it was from. That's how you base your statement of facts off of the documents that you have. Turn the page, write your next statement of fact. Turn your page, write the next statement of fact. Turn the page, write your next statement of fact. And when you're done with all of your evidence, then you can go in and see if there's like something that you don't have as actual evidence that happened, like so-and-so told you to do this, to go over there and do that, but it's really, it's solid. It's right there in the document that we just covered right there that Scott was ordered to go do this. Thank you. Now I got the who did what, where, and when right there from the document. There's nothing made up. There's the evidence to support the claim. Because that's what an affidavit does. Each one of those statement of facts is a claim. I claim on this day, this man, this woman, whatever, did this. Okay? It's simple. The 4 W's. Who, did what, where, and when. In each statement of fact. And again, keep it simple, folks. And this affidavit is directly related to what happened to each individual. So I'll send this over to Scott and let Scott continue writing that unless he wants to write his own. But that was the basic format there. Affidavit of Scott, statement of facts, start with number 1 statement of fact, and just keep going. Each individual statement of fact, based on the paperwork that like Scott has there, that's really going to open up the door for everybody else. All you have to do is, if you have these kinds of documents, write your statement of facts based on that. If you don't have some of this stuff, see if you can do a records request and get copies of that stuff. But essentially, where Scott's got this kind of stuff, it just literally kicks the door wide open for everybody else. Because once one man proves it, it's proved for everybody else that was subjected under that command for everybody else. And then Congress, they'll do their own investigation based on this paperwork and verify the claims. And like I said before, Scott, you may be called in to testify and answer questions based on your affidavit. But the affidavit really, if it's done correctly in this proper form with the appendix and everything supplied with it, well, do they really need to have you come in and testify when it's already under oath? Now, that's what happens in the end of that affidavit is under jurat, is under oath. And just so people are aware, I'm actually an Idaho notary public, so I know what I'm talking about here on this as well, is that notaries can administer oaths. And that's what's known as jurat, under oath, not an acknowledgement. There's two things that a notary can do: is administer under an acknowledgement. They acknowledge, who you are, and you sign this paperwork. The other one is administer the oath. Do you solemnly swear that this is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? That's the oath that you have to, that is supposed to be administered, although they want us to get rid of the so help you God. But I know for a fact that's not a proper oath. It has to be so help you God. The same thing when we took our oath in the military. I don't know if they've changed it since, February of 1990 when I took mine, but it was so help me God then.
So help me God now too.
So absolutely.
And then, Kirk, do you want to just talk briefly about the prayer for relief?
There is no prayer for relief in the affidavit.
Oh, okay.
Just the affidavit is a statement of facts of who did what, where, and when. The affidavit, the prayer for relief is in the petition.
Petition, right.
Right. And I already covered that in the beginning of this. And then I want to remind people that Scott and I can't remember if Dave was with us on that one or not. Yeah, I think you were. What, two weeks ago we did. In fact, it was 2 weeks ago today. Or was it 3 weeks ago today?
It might have been 3.
Yeah. Time's flying fast. I've been super busy. I know Scott's been super busy. We were supposed to meet up like Thursday or Friday for this right here privately. But I've been jammed up. Scott's been jammed up.
Yep, me too.
And yes, good question out here, Brother Diesel D's on YouTube. Or no, he's on X right now. Do all affidavits have to be sworn? Absolutely. Then it's not an affidavit if it's not sworn under oath. Don't be confused with, under penalty of perjury pursuant to the laws of the state of Idaho. That's no. That is not under oath. That is not under oath, folks. Now I'll go back to the petition and show you the proper form of an oath under jurat on the petition or in the end of the affidavit. What? Oh, wait a minute. Is this the one that has the... This one doesn't have the signature on it. I thought it was. Oh, I must have. Well, that's all right. It don't matter. On my website here, kirkslawcorner.com, I actually have that petition uploaded here. Now, just for let people know, change.org took that petition down within 48 hours. So this, to sign the petition, it's invalid. And I've been trying to figure out how to make it so other people can sign it through jot form. And I thought I had something working, but it didn't work. So here is under jurat. This is the proper form. Sworn to or affirmed and subscribed before me this 3rd day of October 2023. That's not an acknowledgement. This is sworn to. Under oath. And subscribed. So a lot of people refer to signed, sworn, and subscribed. It's got to be signed by the notary. And it's sworn under oath and then subscribed by me and then signed. And some people are confused with the term signature and autograph. Okay, signature is actually sign of nature, as in among the living. Autograph is those fictions, persons, when you're at a football game or baseball game, whatever, and your favorite players walking by, can I get your autograph? Can you autograph this football, the baseball? Can you autograph my jersey? Can you autograph this program? That's an autograph. That's the difference between an autograph and a sign of nature. So I want to clarify that out there because some people think, well, this should be an autograph. No, we're not playing baseball here. We're not playing football. We're not a player here. You know, that person. We're looking for the man, a sign of nature. That's what signature is.
And that's a good point, because they change the words for things and they confuse us, and the things that we normally think on a daily basis and what they mean really in reality are quite different. So it's a good way. Thank you for pointing that out. I yield.
Yeah. I mean, look at the word itself. S-I-G, nature. So S-I-G-N, sign, and then nature, sign of nature. It's in the word itself, as it is written. Amazing how that language works like that, as a lot of people don't understand that, like, signature literally means 3 words, sign of nature. But you could see it clearly in the spelling of the word. Anything else, gentlemen?
No, sir, I'm good. Thank you for your time and everything and explaining this. I think this is good for everybody out there too that wants to learn how to do this, because this is the right way to do it. So
Absolutely.
Let's just touch on the prayer for relief just briefly.
Okay, I did that in the beginning of this, by the way. Again, this is the petition I've already done for foreign invasion. Okay, and under a prayer for relief here for one that I'll be doing for this military accountability project is to hold them responsible. One, it would be to do an investigation to verify the claims, right? Whatever the claims are that I write up in here, which kind of really don't want to talk about right yet. But the basics is that there was a hoax. This was unlawful, didn't actually exist. I have the proof of that. So don't worry about that stuff, folks. Again, I want people to understand right now, all I need from all you military service members is just an affidavit. That's it. I'll write the petition. I'll write the brief, the memorandum of law. I have my own evidence supporting that claim that I just made. Okay, and I've showed that to Scott. I've showed it to Dave. I've showed it to some other people. I've showed it to some private people. I've even showed a little bit of it online. So it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. So the prayer for relief essentially is, again, to either for those military service members that were unlawfully discharged and you want to go back into the military and continue your service and complete the contract and maybe retire from the military and you were unjustly removed, well, we can put that in the prayer for relief for you to get back in. Those that are like, no way, man, I'm fed up with that crap. I ain't going to go through that anymore. A different prayer for relief will be in there, different numbered prayer for relief for an option for you to say, no, you unlawfully discharged me. That's breach of contract. Pay the full terms and conditions of the contract. Plus, I want all my medical benefits, dental, vision, all my veterans benefits that I would normally get if I completed the contract. Because they're the ones that are in breach of contract. So those are basically 2 different types of the prayer for relief there. Another one that could be is, compensation for damages for those that may be still in and have been injured by that. You need to cover all my medical bills. You're going to have to compensate me. And see, a lot of people don't understand this. Oh, we got to go through the judicial branch for that. No. Senate has the power of the purse. And this is a lawsuit. It's a political lawsuit, not a judicial one. But again, this is the power that belongs to the legislative branch. We've all been taught, brainwashed, and indoctrinated to believe that, well, everything goes to the judicial branch. No. That's not what our right dictates. That's not what the supreme law of the land dictates as the process. Our right to petition the legislature for the redress of grievances dictates this goes to the legislative branch. Article 4, Section 4, for internal insurrection, domestic violence, dictates this goes to the legislature. Luther versus Borden. This is a political argument, not a judicial one. So I've done my research on this. I've been teaching on the right to petition since late 2017. So I have a little bit of an idea on how this is supposed to work. And, I actually didn't find that Lex Parliamentaria Americana until, mid-2021. Kicking myself in the butt because when I first got Mason's Manual Legislative Procedure in 2010 edition, when I got that in 2019, I was like, I need to go look at what the heck is this cushions? What's this cushions thing? Because that's what I look for when I do research. And you look at these footnotes and they're citing some other source. Well, I want to go read that source. That's how you do research. Is every time you get a link to another piece of source of information, that's going down the rabbit hole. And let's get to the source and the root of this stuff, because that's kind of how I do things. I want to get to the bottom of things, the root. And that's what this is really all about. And I'm really happy to work with everybody, military service members, on this specifically, on this particular project, because if I were to try to do this by myself, that ain't gonna turn out so well. So we get, I just saw on your website there, 26,000 service members to do affidavits and sign the petition. We got a lot better chance of taking this all down, coming together, working together, than we do branching off and try to do this individually. And like I said, I've already got evidence. All I need from you gentlemen, men and women, service members, is your affidavit.
So, Kirk, I just want to thank you for this detailed discussion. From following you for a number of years here, I know that you have the right process, and like I said, I saw the evidence that you had accumulated, and I really appreciate you going into the detail and making this very concise video on what we're about to undertake. And I appreciate the military accountability.net. I appreciate them coming to the rescue of us, and we have to stand with the military. It's not going to be done by one organization or one group of people by themselves. It is going to be done by the group of us. So I really appreciate it. And with that, I'll yield.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Kurt, for your time and everything. And like I said in the beginning, I'm willing to go all the way with this, whatever it takes. So I'm all in. And my hope is that other military members will join me, and you just keep fighting. And thanks for all the signatories on military.accountability.net and all the American citizens that have signed.
Yeah, thank you for your service, brothers, and thank you for being here today. And, leaders lead by example. And I've already been down this road. I've already had some success. So I know for a fact that this works. I know that for a fact that this is what the letter of the law says as it is written. And want to throw that out there real quick. The website there. Get that. Although that actually, what happened there? Oh, because I got the wrong tab.
You got the declaration part pulled up, PDF. That's all good.
Yeah. So the military.accountability.net.
Yep.
That is the website there. Here's to sign the petition. You can sign that petition. So you want to be on board with sign on the declaration there that we want to hold the military responsible. And then again, this is going to go way above the military. This is going to go to the root of the real problem and jerk the carpet right out from underneath them, and we're going to get them all.
Yep.
All the way. Not just your military guys, not just your generals and admirals and major generals. No, we're going to get them all. Because ignorance of the law is no excuse. They should know that we have the right to say no. That's what a lot of people don't even understand. Their right of that, what they call religious exemption, is the right to say no. It comes from the liberty of conscience. That's religion. Liberty of conscience. Right of self-determination. Right to think for yourself. Our health is the very first fundamental principle, absolute right. Even Blackstone's commentary on the law of England says these three absolute rights, I don't know, life, liberty, and property, are the three first absolute rights that come from the laws of nature. This is so fundamental and basic, it doesn't even need to be discussed. But the first one is the right of personal security, which is where the Supreme Court of the United States has already cited back to Blackstone's regarding New York State Rifle Pistol Association versus Bruin case on the Second Amendment, striking down New York's state's legislation saying you have to seek permission to exercise the right to keep and bear arms, which a total of like 9 states had the same similar thing, and they said nope, all of your legislation is unlawful and unconstitutional. And because the right is a fundamental right from the laws of nature, is the right of self-defense. Well, under that same right of personal security, which is an absolute right, is your right of conscience. Your right to determine your own medical treatments, your own health. Right? That's not a part of what government is supposed to do for us. They're supposed to be defending our right to choose for ourselves, not dictating to us. They're trying to apply the law backwards onto the masters, the people, and we didn't delegate that power. No. It works the other way around. You're supposed to defend against anybody who acts like that. A tyrant. That's in the Declaration of Independence. That declares the causes for the separation and declares is what our enemy is a tyrant. All of those characteristics and conduct of a tyrant. So again, militaryaccountability.net. You can get to sign the petition. They've got their all the declaration here, which is what that other one was. You can read that. And I don't know, is it ability to sign that?
No, that's just the signatories, the 231 plus that signed initially.
Okay,
With
gotcha.
the declaration. The petition is for American citizens to sign.
Gotcha.
And they should read that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I highly recommend reading through all this.
All right, before we close, Kirk, can you show us your library and how easy it is for people to actually access some of these documents to read them?
Okay, on my website, kirkslawcorner.com, there's a library tab here. If it's going to go. There we go. Now I have set up here kind of in a chronological order of things to read, starting with a treatise on arrest and false imprisonment. Then the authority of law. These are both by Charles A. Wiseman. Really, really good reading. Highly recommend you start there. Okay. The authority of law one deals with how a real statute is supposed to be made. Not code, but a real statute. Then you get into the third one here is the law of nature. Law of nations, or the full title, the law of nations, or principles of the laws of nature applied to the conduct and affairs of nations and sovereigns, with 3 early essays on the origin of natural law and on luxury. Now, a lot of people don't understand that the military is actually outside of the Constitution, which if you read in the Law of Nations, especially towards Book 4, towards the end, the very end, War and Peace, and understanding that the military came long before our Constitution. Going clear back to 1553 with the creation of the Merchant Marines. and that the civil power, the military is supposed to be subordinate to the civil power. And that's why it's written in the Virginia Declaration of Rights, June 12, 1776, that the militia is composed of the body of the people themselves. That's why the Second Amendment reads that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, because the militia is the people, first and foremost. From the pool of we the people, we have the organized militia, that well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, is the military. That's the well-regulated or organized portion, organized by federal and organized by state level. Militia, military. This report on the Commission on Unalienable Rights, very good read, talks about how our natural God-given rights are our property, where property is, the first definition of property is an aggregate of guaranteed rights, which is why it's most commonly called a trespass, a common law trespass, because you're trespassing on our property. Like when they trespass upon our liberty of conscience, the right of self-determination, the right to think for ourselves, that right comes from that right of personal security from the laws of nature as the very first absolute right. The second one is the right of personal liberty, which consists in the power of locomotion. The third one is the right of property, which we have the right to acquire, possess, utilize our personal property how we see fit, period. Those are three primary absolute rights. And Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law of England lays that all out. I've been covering that particular section of Blackstone's over the last 8 weeks on my Monday Night Law. Now, this is where I have Lex Parliamentary Americana right here. The law and I don't know why that picture got messed up, so I'm going to have to get that fixed. But this one here, see, this is the common law on parliamentary practice and 2 manuals of the rules of procedure. This one here is Law and Practice of Legislative Assemblies of the United States of America. That's Lex Parliamentary Americana. Here's Mason's Manual, Legislative Procedure. This is the 2010 edition. Then you have, this one's Jefferson's Manual. And then here's the Mason's Manual, Legislative Procedure from 1953. That's the PDF one. This book I actually physically have. I own this book, as well as the 2020 edition. This is the 2010 edition. But they really messed up from the 2010 to the 2020. But that's just the way they work. Then you want to learn a little bit about the Constitution. I have the Commentaries on the Constitution by Joseph Story. All 3 volumes here. Read till your heart's content. If you think you know the Constitution, I highly recommend reading Joseph Story's Commentaries on the Constitution, as well as the Federalist Papers. Because there's some people out there that clearly cannot comprehend and understand the words in the Constitution itself, and even after I've tried to show it to them, they still don't want to listen. So there's those kinds of people out there. But reading means reading. And then I've got Bouvet's Law Dictionary 1856. That's the first one here. Black's Law Dictionary 4th edition. And Maxims of Law. This is the common law, which Blackstone writes in his commentaries. These 3 fundamental law. You got Roman civil law, the code. Then you have the feudal law. And then you have the common law. And the common law, the origin of the common law was from the Saxons, which are the Christian Protestants. And the origin of the common law by them is maxims of law and customs. So it's so important to read and understand and use maxims of law. That's the common law. Rights as law. Because the word right and law are synonymous. They mean the same thing. From there, I just got some miscellaneous stuff in here. The 1776 report, which is from the President's Advisory Commission, 1776 Commission. This goes into like critical race theory and that kind of stuff that we're dealing with, and we need to have education. That's what this report is really about. This here is a brief on the right of personal liberty in support of the notice and motion to dismiss for lack of jurisdiction, dealing with like traffic cases. This was the parliamentary inquiry that Chris did from Mason's Manual. We did this into Congress. This is the County Sheriff's Handbook, which is from National Liberty Alliance. This is the Virginia Declaration of Rights, June 12, 1776. Let's see. Yep, it's not right here. But yeah, that's basically what I have in there right now. I would like to get more of my books, PDFs that I have uploaded on here, just a matter of time, like Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law of England, Lysander Spooner's essay on the trial by jury. Oh, it's so good and exposes even the corruption in translating the Magna Carta. It's so amazing. Other than that, that's all I've got, men and women out there.
Well, Kirk, we really appreciate all the work you've done. I know you've been doing it for a long time, and it's about time, the people took up the action, started learning their rights. If you don't know your rights, you don't have any. And so I'm just glad that we can get this out to the populace. And I yield.
Agreed.
All right. Well, thank you. Pat, are you still with us? Did you fall asleep on it? I went ahead and asked your question anyway, Pat, and reiterated. I'll reiterate it again. This is for every military service member, whether you're in still and have been injured by this stuff. Just in the simple fact of being ordered to do it and you did it, even whether or not you received or you're having any complications right now is irrelevant. The fact is you were forced, coerced, and really it was forced to take that. So everybody in the military that's been subjected to this, you can be a part of this.
A lot of military members are suffering greatly right now, a lot. More than anybody could even fathom or imagine.
I know.
So.
All right. Thank you all for being here today. Thanks for tuning in, and share this video out there wide. And again, the other video that we did 3 weeks ago is on Rumble, YouTube, my Facebook page. Should be on X as well. And on Telegram. So on my channel's Kirk's Law Corner. On Twitter, it's just Kirk Pendergrass. But yeah, we'll get this shared out there. Everybody will share this around. So God bless.
Definitely.
God bless America. God bless the world. Have a wonderful day, gentlemen. Thank you for being here.
Amen to that.